All right, guys. I think it's Wednesday. I've lost track of the day of the week this week, but yeah, I'm in a bit of a conundrum this week because we have a Where Thursday show in Belleville this week. So I am not going to be able to do Feedback Friday because it means leaving very early, like the whole day is just a wipe. But there's so much, as Princess Sparkle Muffin would say, stupid stuff going on this week that I actually need another day for a video. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to prioritize the specific gaming stuff today. And then in lieu of a Feedback Friday this week, I'll do the stuff on the Google hiring algorithm turning out to be sexist in a weird and wonderful way. Yeah, so that's what I'll do. And then I'll do, if I feel it's necessary, I'll do the recap for the videos on Monday instead, and then we'll get back on the horse. Cool. What I want to talk about today is the blowback, the freaking out over Dead or Alive 6 and, the defend the women's approach to some reviews, excuse me, that actually is I'll say sexist. This protection, this perpetuating benevolent sexism. Remember that benevolent sexism perpetuates a dichotomy of women are kind and men are strong and punishes women for stepping outside of traditional gender roles. And I certainly think there's a lot going on with this here. I'll show you a couple. I don't want to belabor it because I want to get onto the analysis. But here's one. It's from Metro UK. And it sends, you see, the long-running fighting game series returns, but can it break away from its sexist past and transform itself into a top-tier fighter? You know it's quality when there are typos in it, but that's the reality of internet news. And this thing goes on and on and on and on about how games fetishize the female form and on and on and on. And then it finally, after the jump, sorry, this is an archived copy, but it actually displays better because there aren't ads everywhere. But after the jump, you get, it's important to point out that Dead or Alive 6 is not a bad game, and neither were most of the previous ones. Well, this is a review, isn't it? Yes, it's labeled review. Shouldn't you have led with that? Not 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs in. Now, I played Dead or Alive back in the Dreamcast days. I've sort of fallen out of it because I absolutely suck with the rock, paper, scissors combat element. It's also just it's not as flashy. I like Kasumi though. I like Kasumi, I like Helena, and I like the I always forget her name, Nyotanga. The mythical chick with the wings. I really like her. Yeah, the idea that Dead or Alive 6 is just plain old outright sexist kind of misses the fact that the main, like the Liu Kang of the series is Kasumi. She's sort of the quote unquote main character, the Ryu, the Liu Kang. It's her, So while there's a lot of eye candy and fan service, there's things to recommend the game series as well. Here's another one from The Guardian. Dead or Alive 6 review, fabulous fighting with an unwelcome soft porn vibe. This is strange because there's no sex in the game. But this review glosses over the really annoying grind you have to do to unlock costumes. And the fact that the DLC is like $90, which fans have complained about, and rightly so, I think. It focuses, the combat's great, everything like that, but, and granted, it gave the review 4 stars, no complaints, but I take issue with the soft porn element. There's no sex in this game. And, what is the soft porn element? Dead or Alive 6 features a number of unfeasibly flawless female characters, meticulously modeled busts that are out of proportion with the rest of their bodies. Complaints about their clothes. um, all that stuff. That's not soft porn. This is a sir, right? Yeah, sir. That's not soft porn. Beautiful women, even if they're dressed in a certain way, they are not committing a sex act. Don't go there. Don't slut shame women based on how they're dressed. They're fighters. They're not doing anything even remotely sexual in game. I mean, okay, dead or alive volleyball with like watching chicks shower. All right, yeah, that's very voyeuristic. But even that, it's fetish. It's not softcore porn. Softcore porn actually has like actual sex. I know because they ran the Baby Blue movies after Ed and Red's Night Party every day. So I saw them. I've done research. But let me show you this thing about the female characters being unduly sexualized. I studied these characters hard. Go ahead and laugh. Because of this assertion. And I really think you have to look around some of the ridiculousness of the male characters and how the male characters are portrayed on the Team Ninja website to get the assumption that women are more sexualized than men. You have to look around things to get that idea. So here we are. Here's my girl Kasumi. She seems quite well endowed here, but if you look at other costumes, they've actually, and I give them credit for this, they've actually given thickness of the leather. My Batwoman costume does the same thing. My boobs end up looking huger than they are in the Batwoman costume because of the thickness of the leather. You're buying like, that's probably about half a centimeter thick all the way around. And because the back is sort of open, it's going to naturally accentuate. Now, they gave her a natural looking body. She doesn't have an unnaturally cinched in waist. This is a body that could exist in nature. She is actually pretty decently proportioned. The heels, some people would complain about, but it's a fantasy game. We don't want to confuse costume and her actual body. There is nothing really super alien. Is she a beautiful woman? Absolutely. Is she outside of the scope of what could be found in nature? Not necessarily. I suspect there's some padding in this costume based on other things, based on the Kasumi model. And then we have Helena, who's ironically, I love her default costume because there's all these complaints about, cultural appropriation when white women choose to wear the cheongsam, this dress, or the kimpao, it's also called. But Asian designers, Asian developers, when they idealize a woman, they put her in the cheongsam. So that makes me laugh. That puts the lie to it. But there's nothing terribly unnatural about Helena. Even the shoes are sensible in this case. Those actually look really comfy. I want those shoes. But okay, so the stay-ups, the nylons are stuck to her leg. That's kind of silly, but again, it's fantasy. The body itself actually seems like it could exist in nature. She's not hugely endowed. She doesn't have an unnaturally cinched waist, and she actually has a curvature on her hip that speaks to a healthy fat layer. I love Helena, full disclosure. Anybody who saw my Dead or Alive volleyball stuff, I always main Helena in that. I just love Helena. I have no idea why. I think she has the best clothes. And when I played the games, I kind of clicked with her fighting style the best. Even though I admit I suck at Dead or Alive. I will not claim otherwise. So then we're getting to the guys. Now tell me this is not seductive face. Like, look at the neutral kind of, hi, how you doing? Kind of friendly looks. They're not giving a seductive look to the camera. Whereas the guy, come on. That is a sexualized look. That is a sexy pout. This is clearly like bordering on Bishi territory. And the costume is no more ridiculous. Like these floaty things, that's anything an enemy can grab is impractical for combat. This is why cops insist that cops with long hair have it in a bun, not even just a ponytail, a bun, so that an attacker can't grab it and use it as a weapon against you. So far, I mean, yeah, Helena's got a ponytail too, but it's no more ridiculous. They all have ponytails. It's no more ridiculous on the men than the women. And I'm sorry, that is a far more sexualized face than anything Kasumi or Helena have going on. And the wind of the heavens sounds like a fart. I'm sorry, just saying. I'm joking. They even gave Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden like glowery sexy face. This messes me up. I'm a Ninja Gaiden fan from back in the day, but don't tell me, again, I love my Ninja Gaiden, but don't tell me this costume isn't ridiculous. I'm going to break down why. First of all, again, stuff that can be pulled, stuff that can be used against you. But also, in order for these knives to stay flush, that would have to be a solid plate, which gets in the way. I mean, the details in this costume are really cool, but bracers like this, as somebody who's worn bracers and has like the scars on my wrist to show for it, that would actually rub. That's completely cosmetic. That is not a functioning bracer. It's fantasy armor. Like that to me is the equivalent of boob armor. It would get in the way when you're fighting. Who the frick cares? It's fantasy. But like also, like that would be pretty freaking hard to breathe through. Pressed up against your face. Like, if you've seen the show Night Fight, part of the reason that those guys get so winded is they're wearing full helmets, so they get oxygen deprived. Carbon dioxide builds up in the helmet. So again, this is fantasy, but look at that sultry stare. Look at that. They're not doing this on the women. How can you say the women are more sexualized than the men? Oh, because of their bodies. They're confusing idealized physical forms with some sort of sexual something. Moving on, Jan Lee, he's sweaty, he's super sweaty, and yet somehow his hair gel does not fail. Anybody who used to rave knows this is not true. You stop using that kind of product because you're tired of it sweating down the side of your face and getting into your eyes and mouth. Your hair does not stay up like that when you are that sweaty. I'm sorry. And like, if that's not blowjob face, I don't know what is. No, I'm kidding. But the point is, he's completely shirtless here. He is more naked than any of the women so far. Oh, but that's not sexual. Women who squee over shirtless Thor will tell you you're wrong, guys. Stop being paternal and treating women like we have no sex drive. And then gay guys too. And Zach just makes me laugh because of Dead or Alive volleyball. Like, oh, I am torn about Zach. I've sort of just accepted Zach but I mean, this is sexy in its own right. Like the nice 3-piece suit this guy's put together. He's looking pretty sweet. Like, I don't know what the eyebrow wax job is, but you know, that's a well put together man. There's a sex appeal to that. Don't tell me there isn't. And then Diego, I mean, tell me this isn't a hey ladies face. He's doing like a Razor Ramon face, which is always sort of that parody of it. And again, the very open, he's showing a lot of pecs like this. If the women's outfits are sexualized, this is no more or less sexualized. If the men's outfits are not seen as sexualized, then you can't hold women to a different standard. That is sexist, period, end of story. Moving on. Look at the, like, that is gay porn face. Like, I'm not saying he commits any softcore. Look at that. Look, like that's sexy face. I'm sorry, that is a sexualized expression. And he's not wearing a shirt. Vest and no shirt always makes me feel weird. I don't know why. It's just sort of my personal thing. But he's got the bulging veins as well, and he's not flexing. That's not realistic. They have to pump themselves up to get that vascular dilation. Bodybuilders actually, they dehydrate themselves to make the skin stick more. And then they drink like whipped cream or some other like fatty thing to make the blood vessels pop. But you know what would happen if they tried to do any grueling physical activity the way these guys do? They'd pass out. People don't look like this when they actually have to do anything but pose. And sometimes even the posing. If you ever go to a bodybuilding show, guys pass out on the stage because they are so wrecking themselves to look this way. This is not healthy. This is not a healthy male physique. The way it's no more fantasy or less fantasy than the women. And that elbow looks a bit strange. But moving on. Okay, I'm sorry. Call me weird if you want. I think this is the sexiest default costume in the whole game, and I don't know why. There is just something about Hitomi that maybe because it's not trying so hard, there is something seriously sexy about this costume to me, and she's totally covered up. And this just shows how subjective sexy is. But every time I see a screenshot with Hitomi and like the soiled hem and like, This girl's not even trying, and she's sexy as shit. I love this default costume. Also, I sort of like that they, on all of them, they make boobs hang the way they actually would. Like they actually, I know the boob physics is sort of a joke with Dead or Alive, but it actually is more realistic boob physics than in, say, like the Uncharted games and things like that, where they just don't move because they don't want to offend everyone. I very much enjoy, as a woman who has to live with giant boobs that just grew that way, I like that they're actually making large breasts look like natural large breasts and not like implants. There's an even better example of that going on. Li Fang's just, I mean, okay, yeah, Chun-Li ripoff, but again, she's freaking gorgeous. I love this costume. Like, but there's nothing sexy, like there's nothing come hither about the women's expressions. They look like they're about to do battle. And again, I like the fact that they didn't give her an impossibly narrow waist. She looks like somebody who has had a meal in the last 48 hours. You notice how her stomach, it doesn't like shrink in tiny, tiny, tiny. She's not standing in a ridiculous stance. Her body looks like a body. And I think I like the high-heeled runners. That's kind of cute. I fall all over the place in these. And again, it's fantasy. But I like that they're actually, I think part of the reason that people feel so funny about this game franchise is because the women have the feminine attributes that tend to get taken off a character in order to make her look quote unquote perfect. And those are the things that attract people who are attracted to women. Like these little stomach details and things like that, those are actually quite sexy. Like scientifically, that's fertility right there. And that's what normally gets taken out in quote unquote perfected images of women. And I love that I'm seeing that in a game that is very much fan service. It's very much wank material, but they're actually depicting women who look like women. I enjoy that very much. Moving on. This is what I mean by natural breast curvature. She's like, see how her boobs are sticking up near her arm? They're actually sitting where natural boobs sit when you're wearing a proper non-push-up bra. This is one of the things that drive me crazy about media. And okay, she's 18 years old. I didn't have that much boob until I was about 23. So again, pushing her a little ahead, but one of the things that drives me crazy about media is when they draw women, they actually put the breasts in the wrong place. And so we have grown to think it is normal for boobs to be too high. And they've actually put like breasts in their natural resting position when you're not using a push-up bra. And I really give them credit. I mean, yes, okay, there's a panty peek shot with no panty, but it's a schoolgirl fetish thing. But again, even though this is fetishy, I will admit this is a sexualized image. She doesn't have, it's the Japanese version of good girl pinup art, which is kind of like you're peeking, you're not supposed to see, and she's going, no, that was good girl pinup art. How do I know? I used to be a professional good girl pinup art model. So I get it, but it's not, the women are not. The whole thing about good girl, stuff like Gil Elfgren and stuff like that, is you're catching them. It's like, oh, you know, like this is the, oh, feedback. This is the pinup, like, oh, you know, it's always, it's always that kind of thing. Because, oh, you're not supposed to be here. It's always sort of shocked because they're not, they're not doing it for you. Good girl pinup art is the stuff you're quote unquote not supposed to see. It's a woman's personal beauty routine. And the whole idea is there's an element of the bad girl pinup art is the like, the Betty Page type stuff, which is more like the men in these this art. They're the ones like giving the sultry face. They know you're looking at them. That is the difference between good girl and bad girl pinup art. And this lands soundly in the realm of good girl. But yeah, I really liked the natural breast curvature here. I think that's super important. If you're gonna have sexy ladies in your game, actually make them look like women, like the way female bodies actually look. Not only is it healthier in terms of body image, I think it actually is sexier than the Uncanny Valley fembot territory. Moving on. This is just silly. Like, this is like the typical Japanese parody of, Western Delta Squad guys. Like they sort of see it, they don't quite understand it, and it always ends up kind of comical, which I think is quite interesting. But again, like this is like poser territory. Bass he's a dad. Like I love they gave Bass a dad bod. And they sexualize his relationship with Tina in reviews. I saw a few of those, and that really disturbed me, because the whole thing about, as it says, Bass is a protective daddy. The protectiveness, the feeling of, wanting to protect his daughter who doesn't need his protection, they've treated as somehow incestuous. And that really creeped me out. Because I always thought that Bass and Tina were always super cute. I always really liked Tina from the beginning too. And there's Tina. I freaking love her outfit. This is like 80s wrestler to the max. This is sweet. And they gave her flat shoes. Like, they didn't give every woman high heels. They gave Tina flat shoes because she's a wrestler. That's so cool. Oh, they want me to put a driver in. I'm going to look that up. Close. This is like, okay, it's ridiculous. The whole costume is ridiculous, and I don't know why her navel is so airbrushed, but it's just cool. Like, it's a wrestler costume, right? And again, the face is, hey, how's it going? It's not, I want to suck various body parts. This is just, they're confusing and again, she doesn't have super huge boobs here either. So there's a diversity of body type, which fine. You got the huge boobs. You got characters with no boobs at all. I think there's one of them. Mila's always looked like this. And again, like, look, she's got the freckly face. She's like happy. She's not, the face is neutral or just sort of like good girl. There's nothing. This is how athletes dress. Okay, she's showing her midriff, but so what? She is hot. She's a boxer. Mixed martial arts. But you know what I mean? She's an athlete. Athletes aren't wearing less clothes because they're looking to sexually entice men. They're wearing less clothes because they want freedom of movement and they're hot. Like sweaty. There's nothing like outwardly sexy about this other than the fact that she's beautiful, right? I think her hair is cool. Christy, she's always sort of been this way, right? And I mean, yeah, you could claim this is a sexy outfit, but it's not showing that much skin. It isn't. I mean, these tops are pains in the ass if you're well endowed. If I could ever find a sleeveless top like this that I could wear, oh my God, what happens? Because they don't make clothes for people who are built like me. It starts, like, you start seeing the bra here. So I'm envious of Christy's shirt. And she is giving a little bit of a come hither look, but that's because she's an assassin. She's using her sexuality as a weapon. And I think that's totally in bounds. And we're back to, hey, where's the other characters? What the heck's going on? We passed some. Why did it skip past Ayani and Marie Rose? That's weird. Because I mean, this costume's ridiculous. But again, she's not showing a ton of skin. I mean, there's face and there's arm. She's not showing a ton of skin. She's got a really sweet high-waisted belt that I'm envious of. But this would rub in combat. Those shoes are... Like, Ayani's always sort of been this way. But again... The face is not sexualized. She is not expressing a sexual expression. And I mean, Marie, this is one of the outright sort of fetishiest, like, it's like French or Japanese maid meets slave girl, which is... Marie Rose is a very confusing character. We wouldn't do this in the West. These are tropes in Japan that I only know about because, like, friends of mine who have Asian have explained these things to me. The idea of the secret power of the servant class is a thing, almost like Mary Poppins, but very overt. And so, you know, that's supposed to be a devilish smile. Okay. Marie Rose has always, I will admit, freaked me out in Dead or Alive Volleyball because she looks so young. Like, she's no younger than some of the other girls. They're all like 18, but she looks so young that I just can't. I run away screaming. But yeah, like that costume is yikes. It's very maid meets slave girl. But this is something as well, like, we don't have the maid cafes that they have in Japan. So this is sort of a trope, a cultural touchstone that we can't relate to in the same way. Like, they're the equivalent of almost like, and some people get mad at me for this, but they're almost like a Hooters waitress. And they tend to be 18, 19-year-old girls. You hit a certain age and you just feel too old to be looking at that. But I mean, those are goth boots too. Like, there's like Harajuku girl, there's like maid girl. It's a twist on a trope in Japan that we just don't have the same thing here. So that's like a tricky one in terms of, yes, it makes me personally uncomfortable. It is because I am not raised in the culture that, you know, has particular, it skipped a whole ton of characters. Why the heck? I mean, this character isn't sexualized at all. Nico's not sexualized at all. Like, nothing wrong with that. Some people find women in glasses super sexy. So, but that's not overtly sexual. Like, nothing outlandish about this costume. How old is she supposed to be? Yeah, she's 18 too. Helena's like the old lady at 23, but I mean, this is again just like another Cheongsam costume. Nothing. So she's wearing pantaloons. There's nothing really sexual about this. Like, where's the soft porn? I'm not seeing. And then they're like, oh, this is a carnival costume. Like, carnival down in Brazil. This is totally in bounds. This is the way they dress during carnival. And this is one of those, I mean, look, her default costume, she's like this. But, like, they are making this part of her culture. Where did they say she was from? Oh, she's American, but she's obviously of like Brazilian descent or something like that. But this is a carnival costume. Like, we have a festival in Toronto that's like a little baby carnival called Caravana. And I mean, these costumes are a cultural thing. You see them at Mardi Gras. You see them at Carnival down in, I happened to be in Panama during Carnival once. It was amazing. But to call this soft porn is actually being culturally insensitive. And even then, they actually got the anatomy right. She doesn't have a perfectly smooth stomach. I mean, obviously, she's idealized, but it looks like she has internal organs. They've given her nice musculature. It looks like a fit body, and she's got flat shoes. I'm always happy about the flat shoes. Is this costume ridiculous for fighting? Absolutely. Are you being Eurocentric and judging one culture or another if you call this soft porn? Yeah, you are. This is a cultural element of Latin America that it again has its own shorthand. It doesn't mean the same thing down there. And you are being ignorant to imply that this is pornographic in any way. Why does it keep skipping? That's annoying. It wasn't doing this last night. Brad Wong, to me, is the most ridiculous, idealized character in terms of body type in the whole game. He's supposed to be this fall down drunk, and yet he has like no beer gut. He has no body fat. Anybody who's gone on a drinking binge knows you put on weight. He is totally svelte. This is they make him look a little tired, but you don't look this way if you're living a life of hard drinking. You can't. There's just too many carbs and things that make you retain water in alcohol. So of all the characters in the whole game, this is the most unrealistic body in the whole game, and it belongs to a man. So this just shows you, I think I got everybody now. I mean, Elliot's just ridiculous. Oh no, I have to do more. Like, this is like, he looks pretty young too. And he's supposed to be only 18. Like, I'll spare my comments on him because I'll get in trouble. But here's Neo Tengu. This is the character I was talking. I love this character. And yeah, her costume's totally ridiculous. You know why it's okay that her costume's totally ridiculous? She's a fictional character. I love the shoes. These shoes really hurt to wear, by the way. But she's a fictional character. You see, she's 1,018 years old. And she's like this goddess type character. Her beauty is famed throughout the land, has been spoken for generations. She descended to the human realm to appease her boredom. So she can be like over the top and have costumes that defy physics because she's deliberately not real. And this is the one I want to see. This is a clone of Kasumi. Do you notice that the boobs look quite different here? They sit lower because she's not wearing the structured garment. I really, really like the way that they've made bodies, and the clothes have weight. You notice the bulk, the thick robe adds here? I really give them credit for this because this is something a lot of video games don't do. They want women to look all skinny and boyish, so they don't add any weight. When they add a garment to a female character, they just like paint it on. And it drives me crazy because anybody who's actually worn those clothes know they actually add weight. And by trying to make everybody look like a 13-year-old boy so it doesn't offend the easily offended, you're actually sending a negative body image that women have to be skinny, 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 or they're considered fat. So I really give them credit for making things look realistic. And you notice they're not sticking up there like rocks. They're flattened down because it's a different bra. It's amazing how different bras change the curvature. And then this guy's just ridiculous. I mean, you get on what is his chest hair? Like, I know the story behind it. But it's like, you know, he's naked, man. Like, he's naked from the top down. Why are guys allowed to do it, but women aren't? Oh, because it's not seen as sexual. BS. So that's my little roam through the Dead or Alive 6 characters, just to show that the particular criticism of the women in the game is really taken out of context, and you have to ignore a lot of the stuff with the men. Is any of it realistic? No. No fighting game is. That's deliberate because real violence isn't fun. You have to step away a bit from real life violence to enjoy it because it's sort of natural. If it's too realistic, people go like, oh, I don't want to see that. That's scary. It has to be balletic. It has to be like martial art, like performance martial arts, kind of wushu, as opposed to, you know, UFC where they are actually beating on each other. I don't have a problem with that. And I don't have a problem with beautiful, idealized people in these games because that's exactly what they are. Beautiful, idealized people. And what I give this game credit for in terms of the women is there's a lot of different types of beauty in this game. I would have liked to see more diversity, but it is a Japanese game. Like, let's be fair. But the face shapes vary, the eye color and eye position vary, the body types vary, the types of clothing vary. You don't normally see this much diversity in a Hollywood TV show. Look, like the bodies are so similar on women on these shows. And yeah, they're all thin, they're all fit. It's a fighting game. There's no breasts that look obviously fake, like look like obvious implants. And that would be an issue for me because during combat, those things have a high risk of rupture. So yeah, it's idealized people. It's beautiful people. But contrary to what people say, I think these are actually more realistic looking bodies than what you get in a lot of games. The faces, yeah, they have no pores. Like there's an occasional character like Mila has some freckles and stuff like that. Yeah, the faces are, I would even say, a bit boring. But I think that there's not a lot of diversity in the male faces either. They all have those very full lips. Like, look, I'll go back to the character thing. Like, Zach, Diego, and Rig practically have the same nose. There's not a lot of variety there. Softcore porn goes too far. Singling out the women as uniquely perfected or uniquely sexualized. I think I showed that based on facial expression, the men are actually more sexualized than the women are. And this really, once again, makes me wonder, who is reviewing our video games? What sort of patriarchal, paternalistic bullshit are they programming? Sorry, Kate. Are they programming into the gaming community that men are allowed to be as sexy and as scantily dressed as they want, but the minute women do the same, oh, that's a bad thing. I'm sorry, that's benevolently sexist. Men are allowed to be sexy, overtly sexy, because sexuality is connected to strength. Women are not supposed to be overtly sexual because we're not supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be kind. And every woman who is in a fighting game defies that women are kind and men are strong dichotomy because they kick some ass. So I think this is why we keep having problems with fighting games, is it just triggers that benevolently sexist backlash in the games press. And instead of sitting down and trying to figure out why they're feeling that way, they just grab onto something and use it to sort of a posteriori to pull from Jonathan Haidt. They pull out this a posteriori reasoning instead of actually sitting down and logically figuring out, like, where is the strong reaction coming from? Because unfortunately, if you drill deep, there are sexist underpinnings to singling out women for softcore porn elements when the men are much more overtly sexual, at least in the marketing. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope you like this. Again, Friday's going to be about Google. Help support this channel. If you like this kind of content, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, because technically I focused on body parts in this video, which means YouTube may demonetize it. So I want to continue doing this content because I think it's important. I think this counterpoint where women are concerned is extremely important, and I can only continue to do that through services like Patreon, which is not perfect, but it allows me to talk about what I want to talk about and allows me to, present and use my body in the way I choose instead of the way a bunch of guys at YouTube tell me I'm allowed to. Okay, thanks for watching.